All right, welcome to the presentation of the Boohee Board of Directors. My name is Joseph Pennington and I will be running this presentation. So to start out, talking about our presentation and why I think that social media is a good use of our assets is we will start out with our Chief Marketing Officer's initial goals for Boohee and how those relate to social media. So the first goal for our social media was to spend our entire budget. That was so we could figure out if we were allocating the correct amount of assets and resources to social media. Going along with that, we needed to spend the budget that we did have wisely so that we made sure we were using the correct content and hitting our correct target audience. Going along with that, one of the more important goals for this year was to grow our brand awareness. We wanted to reach a larger target audience, make sure we were hitting the correct audience, which we found out was millennials, and making sure that we were doing that through the right avenues. As well as we wanted to increase engagement, create more posts that allowed our audience and our customers to interact with us and become part of the Boohee family, the Boohee brand. We also needed to increase sales so that we could increase our reach on the market and our share of the market as well. And a personal goal of mine from the CMO was to outperform my peers throughout this year. My goals for social media marketing were the exact same as the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer's goals. I wanted to make sure I was spending the budget wisely, make sure I spent the entire budget. Most importantly for me was to make sure I was performing at a high level, which means outperforming my own peers. Marketing plan that we went about was we needed to begin with organic posts, which means posts that weren't paid for, weren't pushed in front of the faces of our target audience, but rather were posts that we created, we put out there, we shared. We didn't pay for anyone to promote those, but rather we created them with the goal in mind to get interaction, to get more people following us, and to create a better brand awareness and a larger following. We then followed up with that by using paid advertising to then drive home the revenue, which was our final goal. We continued to use both paid and organic posts to allow the consumer to not become overwhelmed with the amount of paid advertising, as well as to continually grow our customer base while adding in revenue at the same time. And as I mentioned earlier, our target audience were millennials. So we figured that social media was a great way to target our audience because millennials do use a lot of social media, and it was a great way to use our advertising budget. The strategy that we used throughout the simulation, first we needed to understand our target audience. Without understanding what they liked, what they didn't like, what sort of posts they engaged with, what platforms they used, we weren't able to effectively go about following our strategy and hitting our goals. After we were able to understand the audience, we then created a story of Boohee so that they were able to get behind that story and create that sort of a following. We then called them to action to either share, like, comment on our posts, and to eventually buy our products. And so with that call to action, we were able to continue to grow our market share with organic posts. Some successful and unsuccessful content. Starting with the successful, we used a lot of promotions that seemed to drive revenue rather well. We then used the call to action to drive that promotion. Something that worked extremely well was about the company posts. So posts that told our story about our employees, how we came to be. People, they really liked that. They were able to get behind those sort of posts. Unsuccessful posts and content were memes that didn't do very well. Expensive videos we found weren't a very good use of resources, and identical posts for all platforms, posting the same thing on several different platforms. It worked, but not as well as some of the other approaches we took. The channels we utilized primarily were Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We used a little bit of Pinterest and LinkedIn. Didn't work very well, so we tended to avoid those, as well as YouTube. We didn't find a very good fit for YouTube, except for in our crisis resolution. We used YouTube to send out our initial message from this CEO, and then we used that YouTube video and we shared that on every single platform. The crisis we went through was through Taylor Swift, as I'm sure you guys are all aware of the situation. We used standardized messages across all the platforms so that we wouldn't have any contradicting information. And we used Facebook to answer any follow-up questions that they had. And we resolved this issue and we tried to move on as quickly as possible. Our overall growth, as you can see, to over 26 million impressions, engagements over 1 million, clicks 163,000. Our click-through rate was at 61%, really good. Cost per click was 26 cents, over 275,000 shares, 150,000 new followers, over 9,000 conversions, and almost $500,000 in revenue. And that is our presentation. Thank you for watching.